Hello, parents and teachers who may be watching. Welcome to Creating Math Ahas for Parents. I'm Dr. Sandy Atkins, Sandy, and in this video, we're going to look a bit further at helping your child with word problems. Now, I hope you'll find this video useful, and if so, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, it's free, click on the notifications bell so you know when other videos are available, and share with others who might find it useful. I'll also leave links in the description below to the other word problem videos and other videos that you might find helpful. Now, in this, we're going to look at helping your child think through story problems. And I'm just going to give a typical story problem from 4th, 5th grade. In this one, you have two siblings that are thinking about how to fence in a yard for their dogs. Not a very original problem, very common. But here's what we want to think about. When we help children with word problems and solving word problems, quite often where their focus is on getting to the answer quickly. And we skip the most important step of understanding the problem. We need them to understand what is going on with the problem and think it through, visualize it, so to speak, before they're worried about the equations. We don't want them to turn this into a procedure they're trying to solve, because problem solving involves us not knowing what to always do. So I want to think about a way to help your child work through some of this. Okay, so I'm going to start where you could have your child fold a sheet of paper into 4 sections, or just with a vertical and horizontal line, cut into 4 sections, and think about in one section, we're going to have them illustrate the problem. Now, depending upon the problem, an illustration may be a chart. It may be ratios that they're giving. So it doesn't have to actually be a picture. So we're wanting them to illustrate. The other thing we're wanting them to do is identify questions that they need answered. Okay, not what the problem is asking, but anything that they aren't sure of when they read the problem. See, it's important for understanding to know what is it you're not sure of and what do you need answered. Now, of course, we don't want them to write, how do you get the answer? That might be a question they have, but that's not what we're talking about here, right? So what do they need answered? What important information do they need to keep in mind as they're solving the problem? And then the last bit is a solution, but also a defense. In mathematics, it's not just about getting an answer, but it's proving that your answer is correct, is reasonable. In the proof, quite often we find any mistakes we might have made or things we might have overlooked. So it's a very important component to not just validating and verifying what you came up with, but also to find mistakes, if any were made, or things that were omitted. So I want to start with an illustration. And I used this problem one time with some 5th graders, and one of the children in the class drew this picture. Now, if you look at it, it looks like the fencing is just right across, like it's carpeting almost. And what was not surprising was that many of the children were writing down the area. They were finding the area for this. Now, if your child was in class and we were working with a bunch of children, I would ask them, what's a question you could ask if you're not sure? What question would you ask this person? And one of the children said, where is the fencing? And the child had it like carpeting. He says, so are the dogs just putting their feet through the holes or what? Now, see, that threw a wrench in the child's thinking and had them rethink their picture. And they drew a different picture. They then drew this picture. Now, if you're helping your child at home and you see this picture, you can ask the same question, where is the fencing? Now, there's a video that talks about productive struggle and prompts we can use to make sure we keep your child's thinking as high as possible and help them really work through that problem solving when they kind of hit a point where they're stuck. We want that productive struggle. So I'll leave that link below. But that question of where is the fencing is one way to get them to think about, well, where would fencing go? Like carpeting or surrounding the area. So if we look at our 4-part chart, we could draw that illustration up in the top, right? I want a picture of it. And it doesn't have to be in these 4 parts, but I want these 4 things. I could have drawn a picture that also had this in feet, okay? But I start with yards. That's what I was given. Questions I need answered. As I'm reading that problem, do I have to buy whole rolls of fencing or can I buy a partial roll? Because remember, it tells us if fencing is $114 for a 50-foot roll, see, I'm probably not going to end up with a multiple of 50. So do I have to buy another roll? Okay. And then for some children, they might not be sure of how many feet are in a yard. Now, again, if we're helping your child, we want to ask them, well, where would we find that out versus telling them? We want to make sure they continue in that problem solving bit and know where to look for answers. Now, important information, it's not restating the problem. It's just as I read it through, what is important for me to remember when I'm solving it? It could be something like I need to find perimeter, not area. Or it's asking 2 questions. I need to figure out the feet that are needed and then the cost of the fencing. Or I might need to keep in mind it's giving me dimensions in yards, but it wants the answer in feet. See, that's the kind of thing that helps me make sure I answer the question that is asked and I don't find the area, I find the perimeter. See, I want to keep that in mind and that I answer both questions. Now, when it comes to solution defense, see, this area can be where I actually do the work. I could redraw the picture with feet. So I have that enclosed area that's 75 feet by 60 feet. So when I'm finding the perimeter, I could show I'm doubling the 75 to 150. I'm doubling the 60 to 120. I'm going to need 270 feet. It might show the math that I'm doing to work that out. It can also show, well, if I have 270 feet of fencing, see, I'm going to need 6 rolls if I can't buy partial rolls, right? 5 rolls gets me 250 feet. I can't have a big hole in my fencing, a gap where the puppies can run through. So I'm going to need 6 rolls of fencing at $114 per roll. So it would show the mathematics that I'm doing to get to the answer for that solution. And then it's the defense. Okay, so I'm showing the work, and then the defense can be something like, we will need 250 feet of fencing because, and I tell them how I know it's 250 feet. And then it's going to cost whatever 6 times 114 is, right? 684, is it? I'm going to pay $684 because, and I can include my assumption. I believe I must buy whole rolls of fencing, so I will have some fencing left over. So it's that defense. Here's my answer, because. Here's the answer, because. And I answered both questions, okay? So again, I hope you found this video useful as a way to help your child think through the problems and seek first to understand what is being asked, to keep in mind the important information, to make sure if it's a 2-step problem or a multi-question problem, I make sure that I answer all of those questions that they have asked. Now, in the other video, we look at a technique of not including a question and have your child come up with all these questions. And that's a way that we can actually challenge your children even further. So I hope you'll check out that video. Again, if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, click on the notifications bell. I hope you'll check out our other videos, and thanks so much for watching.